Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know. Profound words which I came across circa 1972 in a book about Zen Buddhism by Alan Watts, who those of our generation may remember Alan Watts and his contributions, if you want to call it that, to the confusion in the name of spirituality in the modern age. Why confusion? It sounds intriguing, very deep. Those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know. Well, to say that, you have to speak. Right? So you can only write it down. Those who know do not speak, but they can write it down. If you know, and you communicate it, that means you don't know. It's self-falsifying. It's like saying, never say never. You should never say the word never. Right? Self-falsifying. Everything I say is false. Is it true or is it not true? It must be false because everything I say is false. And if everything I say is false, then that statement's also false. Self-falsifying statement. There is in certain strands of Zen Buddhism koans, things, statements to make. We're supposed to meditate on them, and it's supposed to awaken satori. Ding! Eureka. Just the famous one is meditating on the sound of one hand clapping. It drives you nuts, and that's called self-realization. Maybe. The idea, those who know do not speak, they're very deep and profound. They don't mix with others. And just they're self-realized in the core of their hearts. And as everyone else, they're just talking, and they don't know what they're talking about. Well, it's true that a lot of people do a lot of talking about what they don't know, or they're talking about things that are irrelevant to what we really need to know. That verse you quoted the other day, Shrotavyadini Rajendra Nirnang Santi Sahasrashaha Apashyatam Atmatatvam Griheshu Grihamedinam. People are very interested to hear about all kinds of different subjects. And people are very eager to speak on all kinds of different subjects. But they are blind to the matter of self-realization because they have a predisposition or a deep conviction, not even that they even think about it, but they're so set in the way of thinking that this world and everything about it is all that there is, and all that I know, and all that I need to know, and this world is all that is. Krishna speaks, the greatest authority on spiritual knowledge. He speaks, and he gives us the knowledge that we really need to know. Who we are, who is God himself, what is our relationship with him, why we're suffering in this material world, why we're confused in this material world, which is true. One reason we're confused is because so many people speak things that sound convincing, but are not actually correct. There are psychological tests which are done. Maybe you know the format. Because you're a doctor, I expect you to know everything about everything in the field of medicine and psychology, which is probably a little bit unfair. But there are tests that people in a group, they'll put, say, 3 eggs on a table, and then they'll ask everyone, one after the other, and most of the people are programmed to say the wrong thing. How many eggs are there? There are 3 eggs on the table, and they say 4. And everyone says 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. And then when they come to the 10th person who's not in on the trick, he thinks, well, everyone else is saying it. It must be right. And he also says 4. It's the emperor has no clothes syndrome. That everyone else is saying it, so it must be right. Even though obviously there are 3 eggs and the emperor is not wearing any clothes. But we want to go along and with what everyone else says, and we convince ourselves that it must be right. And even wars are fought over misconceptions. Actually, all the wars are fought over misconceptions pretty much, isn't it? If we go to the deep understanding that we're not these bodies, and we have body after body, and we're born in one country in one life, and another country in another life, then what are we fighting about? I'm fighting for my country. Well, it's not your country. It doesn't belong to you, and the country was there before you were born in it, and it will continue to exist afterward. I often make something like a joke when I'm in India, where there is constant strife on the India-Pakistan border. There's so much fuss in the news nowadays about fighting in Ukraine. People are getting killed, sure, but it's been going on every day for years and years and years on the India-Pakistan border. People are getting killed, there's fighting, it's sporadic. Maybe not every single day someone gets killed. It goes on and on and on. So I sometimes make the joke or ironic statement that if an Indian soldier dies, he's shot and he's just dying and he's thinking, Pakistan, I hate Pakistan, I hate Pakistan, I hate Pakistan. Then what happens? What happens? According to Bhagavad Gita, what happens? Yang yang vapi smaran bhavam tyajyante kalevaram tam tame vaite konteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. According to our thought at the time of death, we get the next body. So he gets born in Pakistan. And then if he gets a human body, then he might be a little later out on the same border fighting on the other side, thinking, I hate those Indians, I hate those Indians, I hate those Indians. So he switches body after body after body. If that may be someone's karma. So all that goes on in this world pretty much is running on various misconceptions, beginning from not understanding who we are. And what we think is very important is not very important. A very important issue at the present time in Great Britain, the United Kingdom, is who will be the next Prime Minister. Very important issue, but guess what? Whoever's the next Prime Minister, people will continue to suffer in the cycle of repeated birth and death, including whoever the next Prime Minister is. That's the really important issue. The really important issue is that we are suffering birth after birth after birth, and although we foolishly think that whoever's going to be the next Prime Minister is going to solve all our problems, although realistically they're definitely not going to solve all our problems, because no Prime Minister ever solved all our problems, or even any of our problems, maybe superficially, but the real problem is repeated birth and death, repeated suffering in this world. So Krishna speaks, and we should speak. We should tell people, even though they may not be very willing to listen, but we should speak. There's an idea that a saintly person, self-realized person, just silent, doesn't say anything, just smiles through his beard. But this idea is rejected by, well, not fully rejected, but put into context by Prahlad Maharaj, who's speaking to Nrsimhadev, who certainly wasn't silent when he was ripping Hiranyakashipu to pieces, and he was sitting there covered in blood. Prahlad said to Nrsimhadev, Prayena deva munaya svavimukti kaman monam charanti vijanena parata nishtha naitan vihaya kripanan vimamuksha eko nanyang twadasya sharanang brahmato nupashe. He said, Prahlad said, that there are many saintly persons who take a vow of silence, Mona Vrata, and they live in the hills and the jungles away from human society. But Prahlad Maharaj says, I'm not going to do that, because I see that everyone in this world is suffering because they don't take shelter of you. They don't take shelter of Krishna. So I don't want that kind of liberation where I'm just on my own and getting my own liberation, but I want to try to help others. And Srila Prabhupada was definitely very much in that mood when he came to the Western countries of wanting to deliver these people who are without knowledge of Krishna. And to do that, he had to speaking incessantly. In his books are mostly redactions of his speaking. Writing is an extension of the speaking process, and reading is an extension of the hearing process. So we should speak, and we should distribute Krishna's words in human society so that people may be benefited by knowledge of who we actually are. It's whole what they call civilization is going on generation after generation on the misconception that the body I'm now in, that's it, or this body is me, and I have to live my life to the full because you only live once. Live now. Make the most of it. Who cares what others think? Just do whatever you like and enjoy life. Rinang kritva gritang pibet. This the great atheist Chanakya Pandit said. Rinang kritva gritang pibet. Yavat jivat sukham jivat. What's the next line? Bhasmi bhutasya dehasya kuta puna agamano bhavet. He says that eat ghee. Somehow or other you have to get ghee. This sunflower seed oil, forget it. Eat ghee. It's the great pleasure. Don't have any money? Well, beg it from someone, borrow it, steal it. What does it matter? Because you have to enjoy life. As long as you live, enjoy yourself. Because anyway, the body will be burned and then it'll just become ashes and it won't come back again. So enjoy yourself while you can. Atheistic philosophy. As Srila Prabhupada pointed out, even the greatest atheist of India didn't recommend eating meat, eating ghee. He wasn't a vegan. We should speak. Don't eat too much ghee, otherwise you'll lose your voice. It's for singing. You may have that experience. Too much mucus, right? Produces too much mucus. The doctor, he knows everything. I told you I was going to get on the case of the doctors. Those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know. Well, within Vaishnava society, we find that there are many who are very eager to speak on many issues, and those who are very eager to point out various faults. There are various faults within Vaishnava society, no doubt. We're not perfect. We should strive for perfection, but we're not perfect. But we often find that those who are actually doing the things that we should be doing, they're too busy to do what they're doing to get into various controversial arguments and so many things. They're just getting on with what they're doing. And there are others who are big on talk but low on action. But actions speak louder than words. Of course, it's not that we should avoid controversial issues. Siddhanta balaya chitte nakaraha alash eha hoite krishna lage sudrata manosh. Srila Prabhupada translated this not exactly literally, but he said that one should not be lazy in the matter of controversial, in understanding controversial issues. One should try to understand with one's intelligence, because by doing so, one's mind becomes attached to Krishna. So we should speak in glorifying Krishna. We should act in glorifying Krishna. Mind, body, and words dedicated to glorifying Krishna. Those who know this should tell others and exemplify it also. They should also act in the service of Krishna. The best way to tell others about Krishna is to tell them a lot. We should speak the whole of Bhagavad Gita as it is to everyone we should meet. But it's not very practicable, is it? You stop someone on the street and then say, Dhritarashtra Uvacha. And in the meantime, we get a strange look from the person, and by the time we finish the end of the first line, they're already 20 yards down the road. So it's not very practical to do that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Jare deko tare kaha Krishna upadesh. Wherever you meet, speak to them the instructions of Krishna. But a very practical way of doing it is to give them a copy of Bhagavad Gita as it is, so they can take it home, and in many cases they'll stick it on a shelf and forget it. So how does that help them? Well, it helps them by taking the book, and it also helps because there will come a time when someone will read that book. I have this experience myself. I was staying in someone's house in Ireland in 1975, and on the bookshelf I saw a book which said Krishna Volume 2. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Volume 2. They'd bought the book from a devotee who had kindly come all the way to their town to sell books. They'd bought the book and weren't interested. But I was interested. I read the book, and shortly after that I was distributing the same book myself on the streets of London. So the best way to distribute this knowledge is in big packets. We can speak a few words. We should speak. It's not that we shouldn't speak. But the best way to deliver this knowledge is in big packets, and the bigger the better. We have small books, medium books, big books, and sets of books. So if we become bold enough, we can go out on the streets with sets of books. And instead of saying to people, Dhritarashtra Uvacha, we can just drop a whole set of books on them. Sounds impractical? Well, it's happening. It's being done. It's impossible, it's inconceivable, but some devotees are being empowered to do that, to distribute whole sets of books just to people they never met and people who never heard of Srimad Bhagavatam, people who have no prior interest in Srimad Bhagavatam. They're taking the books. So let's all do what we can to push on this sharing of Krishna's instructions. We should be very anxious not to be silent, but if we have something, we should share it, right? If we know something which is good for human society, we should share it. We've found out that this is how we can actually be happy on a completely different platform to that of everything else which is advertised as being causes of happiness. You can try them. There are unlimited things we can try to make us happy, and none of them make us happy until we come to the platform of understanding I am an eternal spiritual being. I have an eternal, spiritual, loving, delightful relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we should share this. We shouldn't be miserly. Not everyone's going to be an empowered book distributor who can walk up to people on the street and distribute sets of books. I don't know if I could do it myself. I'd have to learn from my disciples how to do so. But everyone can assist in this great effort to spread this knowledge, which is so much needed as people career from birth to death to another body, again and again and again. We need to share this knowledge. Now, in our society, in our Vaishnava society, there is increasing awareness that whole sets of Srila Prabhupada's books can be distributed widely, and there's an endeavor to mobilize our devotees to all assist in this endeavor to distribute more and more sets of Srila Prabhupada's books, which is not a small thing in any way. If we say you go to the library, you go to the public library to take a book, you don't usually walk out with, I don't think they'd even allow you to walk out with a whole box full of books. But that's what we're talking about. Selling sets of books. Selling, not giving away is relatively easy, but selling, that's a great endeavor. They have to be paid for. So now there is an endeavor to share this knowledge by distributing. Already a major activity of this movement is to distribute these books, in which people, by reading, it's just by reading you can immediately, if anyone has a little sensitivity, they can understand how special are these books, how they're coming from a different platform. I often read this verse. Can you see that? Can you show me that first verse of Bhagavatam? I know the Sanskrit, but I don't know the English translation very well. So those who know, they can chant along with me. The first verse of Srimad, first verse, 18,000 verses. The first verse, we can chant, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadyasya Yatonvyad Itaras Chartes Vabhigna Swarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kaveye Muhyanti Yat Suryaha Tejo Vari Mridang Yata Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mersha Dhamna Svena Sadani Rasta Kuhakang Satyang Parang Dimehi. Translation. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna, because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Not easy subject matter. Not very easy to understand. You'd have to read it several times to get even any idea, or to form some idea of what's being stated. There are purports, explanations, but we can understand that this is knowledge of the supreme absolute truth, knowledge of God. It's profound. It comes from a platform beyond that of human beings, even greatly intelligent human beings like Socrates or Einstein. They have various insights. So many people have insights into the human condition and the nature of the material world. But beyond the platform, coming from beyond the platform of human intelligence, knowledge of the Supreme, knowledge of the Absolute Truth, knowledge of Krishna. Just from reading one verse, we can understand how profound is this. So we should request everyone to take these books, and we can all engage in this activity, this movement, Hare Krishna movement of distributing this knowledge. We also have to ourselves imbibe it by reading again and again and again, hearing and discussing. This is something very special. This is something the Prime Minister, whoever is the new Prime Minister, they're not going to give us. In the universities, they're not going to give us. Even in the churches, they're not going to give us. The churches are now a tourist attraction. Here, the church is a tourist attraction, more than a place of worship. We have something very special. We've been gifted with something very special. We should try to share it by inducing everyone to take these books. Charity begins at home. So we request everyone, if you don't have a full set of these Srimad Bhagavatam in your home, put it in your home and put it in your heart by reading. It is a heart matter. It's not a mental matter. The subject of Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna. And we understand by the mind, by the purified intelligence, but ultimately it's a matter of the heart. Krishna speaks to our heart. The message of Srimad Bhagavatam is to be understood with our minds. By the mercy of Krishna we can understand this, but ultimately it's a matter of the heart, which is stated in the third verse of Bhagavatam. Nigama kalpataro galitam palam shukamakhad amrita dravya sangyatam pibata bhagavata rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. This is the ripened fruit of the desired tree of Vedic knowledge, this Srimad Bhagavatam. And that fruit has become sweeter by being touched by the lips, by figurative language, by being spoken by Shukdev Goswami. So we are recommended to become relishers of that nectar and go on relishing the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. That it's relishing within the heart, hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, discussing Krishna, and sharing the knowledge of Krishna with others. There is there's organized endeavor to distribute more and more sets of Srimad Bhagavatam so that people may benefit from this knowledge. Keshav Gokulananda, yeah, you also. We had a present. You're also in that Go Matsya team, is it? Yeah. Okay. Do you want to make a presentation? Little different. We'll have it. Variety is the spice of life. Yeah. Tell us all about it.
Hare Krishna. So as Keshav Gokulanand Prabhu mentioned this morning, today is the last day of this wonderful retreat. And I think by now it's very evident that how dear this service is to Srila Prabhupada and how dear this service is to His Holiness Bhakti Vikasa Maharaj. Throughout the various classes which we have attended, there hasn't been one class where Maharaj hasn't emphasized on the spirit of giving actually. So, and often every time when we go into the marathon, I remember 2 years ago when we wanted to distribute over 300 sets of Bhagavatam, I wrote to Maharaj and he was so happy, he wrote back saying that 300 is nothing, you should do thousands actually. And then he later on spoke to Keshav Gokulanand Prabhu and emphasized the same message to us. So this year obviously there is a drive to distribute at least 600 sets at Bhaktivedanta Manor, and altogether in UK we are looking at 1,000 sets and 2,000 in Europe. Obviously you have to start somewhere, and this year we were really, we struggled, I'll be very honest, but now when Maharaj has been speaking over the last 3 days, I feel very strongly that actually we should be able to do 600 if not more sets from Bhaktivedanta Manor. So Keshav Gokulanand Prabhu called few of us, myself, Diptesh Prabhu, Raghavendra Prabhu, and few weeks leading up to coming to here, he's been telling us, Prabhu, how many sets can you take? How many sets can you take? And not just once, he's been reminding us again and again, Prabhu, have you picked up? Have you picked up? I was coming a little bit later. So that goes to shows how nicely he has imbibed that spirit of his spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada. So taking that spirit, what I wanted to really request is actually we have few devotees of Atlanta. If few of those could stand up, if it's my humble request, could just go up and maybe help us bring those sets down. And what I would request is, again, as I said, we are not asking you to buy, because some of you who have already bought the set, great, fantastic. But what we are requesting you is to at least take one set with the blessings of Maharaj and the empowerment which you will get with the blessings, and just reach out to one person who you can present Bhagavatam. And as Maharaj was saying, we simply, just now we went on Harinam, I met a very good doctor from Kerala, I presented her a set of 7 books, and she was open to the idea and she took the set. And then when Govind Prabhu was leading the Harinam here, I saw a lady just so mesmerized with the Kirtan, I went up to her and I presented the 7 books. She happily took it, the whole set of the 7 books actually. So people are looking for this transcendental knowledge, and we heard from Maharaj this afternoon that this is very special. No one has this kind of knowledge which is full of devotion, full of nectar from beginning to the end actually. So, I humbly request all of you that please help us by participating in this sacrifice, by walking away with just one set of Bhagavatam, and you can collect it directly. Maharaj has very kindly said that he's available after the talk today again. So you can personally come and pick up the set from Maharaj, take it to your home, keep praying to Prabhupada, and I'm sure you will find one person who can take a set of Bhagavatam. So I just wanted to see, I'm happy to take one set right now and try to call some people as I drive back. I have a 2-hour drive, and even when I get home, to think of one person today who I can actually try and distribute. That's my promise to Maharaj. Since he's inspired me, I'm going to take one set right now home and trying to distribute that one set within the next 2 days. That's my promise. So now if anybody here feeling inspired to at least try to take a set, we are not even asking you to pay money right now. Who wants to take at least one set? Diptesh Prabhu is happy. So can we have a round of applause for Diptesh Prabhu? Haribol! Prabhu, what's your name? Deepak. Dilip Prabhu. So can we have a round of applause for Dilip Prabhu?
Hare Krishna.
Who else is feeling inspired to take one set of Bhagavatam and try and distribute? Just try. We are not even saying to distribute. One set of Bhagavatam. Anybody else? Mataji is taking one more set. Haribol! She took a set of Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita this morning. So now 3 sets. We've only got 6 sets left of Bhagavatam and about 11 sets of Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's not much to go. Anybody else feeling inspired to find one person, a friend, who they can distribute the Bhagavatam? Okay. Well, okay, there we go. Prabhuji, Haribol! So 4. So we only got how many left now for Bhagavatam? 5. Who was there? One more Mataji was putting her hand up. There was somebody who's here.
There's a little kid there.
You want to take a set of, what's your name? Little louder. Madhavi wants to take a set. Haribol! Well done, Madhavi. Come on! Kids are happy to take a set, so we can all do it. Haribol! So about 4 or 5 left, right, Keshav Prabhu? 4. Okay, great. Only 4 sets. Come on, who's going to help us? Raghavendra Prabhu, are you going to take a set home to distribute over the next 4 weeks? Okay, Prabhu has 2 sets in the car. Prabhu is going to take the 2 sets. Okay, so we have 2 more sets left. Only 2 sets. Let's finish it while Maharaj is still on the Vyasasana. We can complete our 15 sets. Only 2 sets. Who can take 2 more sets? Anybody can take 1 more set? You just have to try. That's all we are saying. You don't have to give the Lakshmi now. Okay, I'll take 1 more set. I'll take 2 sets and Prabhu will take 1 more set. Haribol! So there we go. 15 sets of Bhagavatam are gone. For Chaitanya Charitamrita, please see us. We have plenty of sets there. You can try to take them and help us distribute. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for inspiring us.
You're a good motivational speaker. So that's it. The mini Shravan Kirtan camp is almost over. At the end of every sacrifice, there should be distribution of prasadam. So that will go on. Hare Krishna. Thank you to all for making it a happy 3 days. Those who are doing the hard work, they're not here to be thanked because they're out doing their hard work elsewhere. Had a lot of good kirtans, distributed some books. Thank you to one and all. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.